Chapter 1. Are you going to die just after traveling through time? What kind of human suffering is th? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dafeng Dynasty, Huaishui County, Qingshe Town, known to outsiders as Qingshe Town, it is within the land of the Luo family, one of the four major families. Luo Changfeng was struggling to open his somewhat cloudy eyes, half lying on an old Taisha chair that had been there for who knows how many years and had several pieces of paint peeled off. There were three middle-aged men with different expressions standing in front of them. The sounds of noisy discussions in his ears were continuously transmitted into his somewhat sluggish mind. I traveled through time. Luo Changfeng looked at the two people who were arguing constantly in front of him, and the one who remained silent. Then he looked at his extremely skinny arms, which were covered with lines and were as rough as tree bark. He once again confirmed the fact that he had traveled to another world. It's just that this time travel is time travel. Why do other people travel through time? Either the young master of the family or the son of the Holy Lord of the Holy Land. The third one is at least the core or direct disciple of a large sect. Life's safety is generally guaranteed, but he, Luo Changfeng, traveled through time and became the ancestor of the Luo family who was about to expire and half of his body was already buried in the ground. Tell me, what is all this? Ancestor, this Gale dynasty was already in chaos. Now it has experienced several years of severe drought, and countless ordinary people have revolted. If our Luo family doesn't take any action at this time, as time goes by, we will be destroyed by others and become dust in history. Among the three middle-aged men in front of me, he was 2 meters tall, and his body was as strong as a tiger or a wolf. Luo Yong's face was full of flesh, and there was even a hideous scar on his face. Seeing that he couldn't explain it, he turned his head and said to his ancestor Luo Changfeng with a somewhat excited expression. Ancestor, although what the third brother said is true. But the Gale dynasty is still the Gale dynasty after all. As the old saying goes, a skinny camel is bigger than a horse. If our Luo family is targeted by people from the Gale dynasty because of gathering a crowd to revolt, we will become the one who stands out. Our Luo family will definitely face the end of destruction. In a slightly dimly lit room, wearing a Confucian robe, he is about 1.8 meters tall. Luoan looks a little frail. At this time, he no longer cared about his own face, and hurriedly spoke in detail to his ancestor in front of him. Sitting in front of these two people was a man in green clothes with an expressionless face. Luo Ping, the current head of the Luo family, still exudes a vague aura of majesty. It's as if nothing happened. Just lower your head slightly, look at your nose with your eyes, and your nose with your heart. He had no intention of getting involved in the topic discussed by the two brothers beside him. That's enough. Luo Yong and Luoan seemed to want to continue arguing. Luo Changfeng frowned slightly and stopped the quarrel between the two people in front of him. At the same time, he reached out his hand helplessly and rubbed his temples. When this man gets old, he can no longer listen to the quarrels of others. You two, please step back first. Luo Changfeng rubbed his head for a while until it stopped hurting so much, then he whispered to Luo Yong and Luoan in front of him. But, ancestor Luo Yong swallowed and hesitated. It seems that he still wants to persuade his ancestors, based on his knowledge and judgment of the current situation. Now, choosing to absorb refugees and accumulate your own strength is definitely an excellent choice. Even if they don't start a rebellion, at least in this troubled world, you can also protect yourself, right? I said, step back first. Luo Changfeng raised his head slightly and looked at Luo Yong in front of him. His expression gradually became a little cold. But Luo Yong hesitated. Finally, under the cold eyes of his ancestors, he turned around helplessly and angrily, silently walked towards the outside of this room. Luoan, who was wearing a Confucian robe and was a little thin, saw this, bowed his hands to his ancestors, and then exited the room. Following Luo Yong and Luoan, these two people left. In the dim room, the overall atmosphere gradually became a little quieter. It was even so quiet that the sound of people's breathing could gradually be heard clearly. Ancestor, if nothing happens, I will retreat. Luo Ping lowered his head slightly and spoke with a rather respectful expression. Wait. Luo Changfeng said, narrowing his eyes slightly and carefully looking at the current head of the Luo family in front of him. The ancestors of the Luo family in the past were not very bright and might not understand what Luo Ping meant by bringing the other two brothers. but as a time traveler, how could Luo Changfeng not know what this little guy meant? It's just that he wants to kick this problem towards himself. Let him, the ancestor of the Luo family, balance the conflict between Luo Yong and Luoan. You should have heard what Luo Yong and Luoan just said. What do you think about this matter? After being silent for a long time, Luo Changfeng finally managed to sort out his chaotic thoughts through his somewhat slow brain. He then asked in a low voice to Luo Ping, the current head of the Luo family in front of him. This Luo Ping raised his head in surprise and glanced secretly at the ancestor sitting on the throne. Then, he lowered his head again. He seemed a little surprised that his ancestor would ask him such a question. Just say it. Luo Changfeng saw that Luo Ping in front of him was hesitant in his words, so he spoke out again. Ancestor, if that's the case, then I'll tell you straight away. What the third brother said is indeed true. It is very important to have a certain amount of military power in troubled times. But what the second brother said is not unreasonable. The Gale dynasty is still the Gale dynasty after all, and its heritage is still there. It's not easy to be a standout. So as he spoke, Luo Ping quietly raised his head again and carefully glanced at his ancestor's face. After seeing that his ancestor still had his eyes slightly narrowed and his expression unchanged, the emotions in his heart couldn't help but become more and more nervous, and he didn't even dare to take a breath, although Luo Changfeng was a little dissatisfied with the answer of the current head of the Luo family. But he still let the little guy leave in the end. Then after about half an hour of contemplation, only then did Luo Changfeng digest all the memories in his mind. The situation in Gale dynasty was not good. Now, there has been another severe drought for several years. Officials are greedy and exploit the people crazily. Some people took this opportunity to rise up, and some people took this opportunity to become bandits and occupy the mountain to become kings. There are also people who change their children to eat because they cannot afford to eat, while the rich whine and meat smell. The road with frozen bone. This sentence is not an exaggeration at all when used to describe today's era. Even though Huaishui County is located on the side of Huaishui River, it has a fairly sufficient water source. Qingshi Town is located in Huaishui County. The officials in the small town still have a limit to the exploitation of the people, but the lives of the people in Qingshi Town are still extremely difficult. However, no matter what the current situation of the Gale dynasty is, and he was nearing the end of his life, his vitality and blood had declined to the extreme, and it was difficult to walk. What does it even have to do with the ancestors of the Luo family who have half of their bodies already buried in the ground? You just crossed over and you're going to die. What kind of human suffering is this? Chapter 2: A golden finger that consumes clan members' vitality and blood points. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What to do? Is it possible that we really want to wait for death in the Luo family's land? That when Luo Changfeng thought of this, he felt an even bigger headache. Although he didn't know how long he could live, but judging from his current situation, 1 month is probably too much time. As for the so-called panacea that can prolong life, if possible, Luo Changfeng would naturally want it too, but the question is this kind of elixir an elixir that can increase lifespan worthy of being owned by the ancestor of his small family? Before I traveled through time, I really wanted to do it. But I really regret it after traveling through time. At least, it shouldn't be a problem for me to live for a few decades before traveling through time. In a slightly dimly lit room, Luo Changfeng exhaled a long, slightly turbid breath. Just when he wanted to stand up, go out for a walk and take a look, a translucent attribute panel suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. Name, Luo Changfeng. P.S. The ancestor of the Luo family, one of the 4 major families in Qingshi Town. Shouyuan, 7 days plus. P.S. Remaining time. Cultivation, early stage of bone refining plus. PS1, each state is divided into early stage, middle stage, late stage, and perfection. PS, the peak period of the host's cultivation is bone refining perfection. Due to the decline of qi and blood, the state has dropped to bone refining. Early days. Qi and blood, 1350. PS, this is the total qi and blood of the family. The safe amount of qi and blood available is 135. If the amount of qi and blood used exceeds this amount, uncontrollable events will occur. Kung Fu, the best of ordinary world, fierce tiger strength, comprehension, 30% plus, PS, the skills are graded from low to high, unconventional, ordinary, yellow level, mysterious level, earth level, heaven level. See the properties panel in front of you. Luo Changfeng was a little dumbfounded. Could this be the golden finger that came with me traveling through time, right? I thought I would be fine if I lived another 10 or 20 days, but I didn't expect it. I only have the last 7 days left in my life. By the way, what does this qi and blood mean? The total qi and blood of the family? The safe usable range is 1/10. In other words, I can use this energy and blood to add some energy. Luo Changfeng frowned slightly, with thoughts in his mind, just when he stretched out his hand and tentatively clicked on the plus sign behind Xuanhuan. In front of his eyes, a translucent attribute panel popped up again, this time on the properties panel. There are two options, one is, yes, the other is, no. Increasing one day's lifespan requires 10 points of energy and blood. Will the host increase it? Yes. No. The value of 10 points of vitality and blood will increase your life expectancy per day, which means within the safe and usable range, the lifespan can only be increased by 13 days at most. This lifespan increase is a bit small. Luo Changfeng ignored the prompt that just popped up. Zaid stretched out his right hand and clicked on the plus sign behind the cultivation level. If the memory in his mind is correct, as long as his cultivation reaches the realm of organ refining above bone refining, he can extend his life by at least 20 years, and if you reach the level of blood training above viscera refining, you can continue to extend your life for another 30 years. If you break through blood training, you will reach the state of transformation beyond blood training. Even living to be over 300 years old is not a big problem. Upgrading to a small realm requires 100 points of energy and blood. Will the host be upgraded? Yes. No. The familiar translucent window page appeared in Luo Changfeng's eyes again. A small realm with 100 health points. In other words, with the current safe and available amount of energy and blood, I can only improve to a small level. Luo Changfeng couldn't help but hesitate a little when he thought of this. He was thinking about whether he should use all the safe and available energy and blood to increase his longevity, or rather, let's raise a small level first, then the lifespan will be increased for another 3 days. By the way, I have a question. Will the total health value of this family be restored after using it? How long will it take to fully recover? Before adding points, Luo Changfeng raised this question about his golden finger. It's just a pity, the golden finger did not answer his question. In desperation, Luo Changfeng could only adopt a safer method, that is to try it yourself, then, look at the consumed energy and blood value and how long it will take to recover. Let's add 3 days of longevity first. Luo Changfeng thought this in his heart, then, he stretched out his sinful right hand that could drain the blood of his clan members. Qingsha Town, the land of the Luo family, outside the courtyard where the head of the Luo family lives. As the current head of the Luo family, Luo Ping, after leaving the small courtyard of his ancestors, he hurriedly walked towards his courtyard. Just when he stepped into his own yard, he was about to step into his own room with many paintings hanging on it. Suddenly, he felt dizzy. Fortunately, this situation did not last long and ended. My son. As Luo Ping just stepped into his room, he hurriedly faced the man who was sitting quietly on a chair, wearing a long white coat and a delicate face. Between his eyebrows, the seemingly frail young man shouted loudly. Father, as the head of the Luo family, how do you act in such a hurry? Sit down and take a breath first, drink some tea, and then talk. The young man named Luo Chuan calmly picked up a ceramic teapot next to him and picked up a ceramic teacup. After pouring a cup of tea that was 7% full to his father, only then did he whisper calmly to the head of the Luo family next to him. Luo Ping exhaled a long breath. After drinking the tea handed over by his son in one breath, he whispered, My son, I did everything you told me. I also kicked this difficult problem at the feet of ancestor Changfeng. However, today's ancestor seems to be a little abnormal. He actually asked me to stay and asked my opinion on this matter. Then what did you say, father? Luo Chuan frowned slightly. Of course I'm doing Tai Chi there. How can I dare to talk nonsense about something that determines the fate of my family when I still don't understand my ancestors' thoughts? Chapter 3: The Future Path of the Luo Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Father, how did your ancestor look when you saw him today? After a moment of silence, Luo Chuan asked again. Ancestor's complexion? Luo Ping thought for a moment and replied in a low voice, Ancestor's complexion is worse than what I saw a week ago. I can even vaguely smell the smell of decay and death next to Ancestor Changfeng. Perhaps it won't take a month for Ancestor Changfeng to know how to do it. Is that so? Luo Chuan's brows, which were already slightly frowned, tightened upon hearing this. The expression on his face gradually became more solemn as time passed. It seems that the Luo family's situation is more serious than I imagined. Although our Luo family is called by outsiders, we are one of the 4 major families in Qingshi town. Powerful and possessing countless wealth. But within the family, the major factions all have different ideas about the future development of the family. Father, you are the head of the family and you need to take care of the overall situation. Second uncle Han Chuang studied hard for 10 years. After failing to achieve any results, he switched from literature to business. He controls 70% or more of the family's wealth. Third uncle is strong and powerful. He is the strongest member of our Luo family. In his hands, he controls the strongest and most elite servant in the family. But he has well-developed limbs and a simple mind. If you are not careful, you will be deceived by outsiders. If you sell yourself, you will have to count the money for others. The reason why this huge Luo family has been able to survive to this day. What we rely on is the majesty that Changfeng ancestors retained from the past. What if something unexpected happens to Ancestor Changfeng at this critical moment? Our Luo family will probably gradually fall apart and be eaten away by the other 3 major families in Qingshi town and the extremely greedy officials in Qingshi town. As soon as Luo Chuan said this, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became a little depressing, making people feel a little uncomfortable. My son, is there really no other way to preserve the family? It's either that there's no way or that. That's it. To put it bluntly, Dad can handle it. Luo Ping stared at his son Luo Chuan beside him and said with a slight tremor in his words. Luo Chuan, who was in the room, slowly picked up a cup of tea next to him, put it to your mouth and drink it. Glancing slightly at his father, whose breathing was somewhat disordered, he sighed slightly and said, the Gale dynasty has experienced several years of severe drought, and countless people have turned into bandits and risen up. Even though the legacy of the Gale dynasty is still there, the emergence of this troubled world is unavoidable. In this troubled world, if our Luo family cannot work together, I think it would be better to find a deserted mountain and live in seclusion. This is also a way to continue the family lineage. If our Luo family really wants to do this, I'm afraid we will have to give up the family business in Qingshi town that has been painstakingly managed for 200 to 300 years. At that time, the chaos will end, the Gale dynasty has suppressed the unrest, or a new ruler will appear. It is already difficult for our Luo family to return to this bluestone town. Although Luo Chuan's words were very calm, but this kind of calmness made Luo Ping, the current head of the Luo family, feel extremely heavy. Guarantee the continuation of the family bloodline? Chuaner, what do you mean? After pondering for a long time, Luo Ping suddenly captured important information and quickly asked his son Luo Chuan beside him. Yes, even so, it is only to ensure the continuation of the family bloodline. Luo Chuan poured himself a cup of tea again and drank it in one gulp. He raised his head and looked at his father, the head of the family, with a somewhat helpless expression and whispered, Father, you are not so naive as to think that if you decide to leave Qingshi town and find a remote mountain to live in seclusion, what will happen to your second uncle and your third uncle? The people around you will follow you obediently, right? Second uncle's character is the most conservative. It must be impossible for him to give up the family business and leave Qingshi town. The third uncle has a strong personality and always wants to take advantage of the troubled times to go out and make a fortune. If Patriarch Changfeng was not still here, third uncle would have taken his people and left this small town with a population of less than 100,000. So, even if you, father, listen to my words and don't get involved in this troubled world, the most you can do is ensure the continuation of the family bloodline. Is there really no way to have both? Luo Ping was a little hesitant. If possible, he naturally doesn't want to leave this place where the Luo family has lived and developed for 200 to 300 years. Father, you can't have your cake and eat it too. As the head of the Luo family, you must make a decision at a critical moment. After Luo Chuan finished speaking, he stood up silently and walked out of the room alone. As Luo Chuan gradually left, the figure slowly disappeared from Luo Ping's sight. Luo Ping slumped down on a wooden armchair with some weakness. His eyes were staring into the distance somewhat dully. Live in seclusion, or grit your teeth and stay. Of these two paths, which one should I choose? And just when Luo Ping, the head of the Luo family, was hesitant and wavering, in the land of the Zhao family, one of the four major families in Qingshi town, Zhao Wu, the current head of the Zhao family, and all the elders of the Zhao family. At this time, everyone gathered together. Old Dr. Wang, according to what you see, how long can that old guy in the Luo family live? In the silent and extremely bright hall, Zhao Wu, who was sitting quietly on the main seat, suddenly faced the man in front of him who was wearing purple clothes, with a wrinkled face and a long white beard. Although he was very old, the old man was extremely energetic and asked in a low voice. From what I can see, in less than half a month, the old immortal in the Luo family will definitely die due to exhaustion of his lifespan. Dr. Wang smiled slightly, stroking his soft white beard confidently while whispering. The old man called Dr. Wang. His name is Wang Kun. Before, he was the best and most famous doctor in Qingshi town with Chinese medicine skills. Because Dr. Wang has not taken refuge with any force in Qingshi town, therefore, people from all the major forces in Qingshi town like to ask him to treat various diseases. At that time, the ancestor of the Luo family was in panic because his lifespan was about to be exhausted. I also asked Dr. Wang to ask if there was any way to extend his life. However, the result is also obvious. Let's not talk about whether it is possible or not. Even if it is indeed possible, the price is not something that the small Luo family can bear. Chapter 4: Improving Cultivation and Restoring Strength. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Within half a month. Dr. Wang, are you sure about this time? That when Zhao Wu, who was sitting quietly on the main seat, heard this, his expression gradually became serious and serious. Things like this are related to the subsequent development of the family. He had to make it clear, otherwise, this matter is likely to affect the future of his Zhao family. How can you question my master's medical skills casually? After Wang Kuen's judgment was questioned, before he could stand up, the disciple behind Wang Kuen couldn't help but speak out. Shut up! The corner of Wang Kuen's mouth raised slightly, and he glanced at the sensible disciple behind him with a somewhat satisfied expression. He then pretended to be angry, and reprimanded the direct disciple behind him in a somewhat pretentious voice. Don't you even look at where this place is, and who are the people here? In a place like this, how can a junior like you be able to speak freely? After reprimanding his direct disciple, Wang Kuen looked slightly apologetic and whispered to Zhao Wu, the head of the Zhao family in front of him. Head of the Zhao family, I offended you because of my ignorance. I'm so sorry. It's okay. Zhao Wu gritted his teeth and suppressed the anger in his heart. Now that the head of the Zhao family has got the answer he wanted. If nothing happens next, I will retreat first. In a room filled with senior members of the Zhao family, Wang Kuen lowered his head slightly and whispered calmly. Okay, please step back. Zhao Wu, who was sitting quietly on the main seat, waved his hand expressionlessly. In this way, Wang Kuen was under the gaze of everyone. With the direct disciple behind him, he gradually exited the room where the atmosphere seemed a little off. Master, why are you so arrogant? In the meeting hall, among the elders of the Zhao family, a middle-aged elder could not hold back his emotions and stood up directly. No problem. Zhao Wu shook his head slightly. After a moment of silence, he continued. Just a week ago, Wang Kuen successfully passed the entrance examination of the Wandan sect and became one of the registered disciples of the Wandan sect. Moreover, that guy also controls the refining method of the bodybuilding pill. The current relationship between our Zhao family and Wang Kuen is one of mutual use. Our Zhao family will provide him with food, drink, accommodation, and various precious elixirs. And Wang Kuan is providing our Zhao family with the bodybuilding pill he refined. So, as long as Wang Kuan does not hinder the development and growth of our Zhao family, other things will matter. Just let him do it. As soon as Zhao Wu said these words, all the elders of the Zhao family lowered their heads helplessly. In this meeting hall, the boundless silence returned again. Wandan sect, this is a behemoth, not to mention in this small Gale dynasty, even in the entire eastern barren China, and even the entire Xuanhuan continent, this Wandan sect has a very respected status. Therefore, even if Wang Kuan just passed the entrance examination of Wandan sect, and he is just one of the countless registered disciples of the Wandan sect, but that's not something the Zhao family can easily offend today. As time flows, soon, a new day came slowly and quietly. Qingshe town, the land of the Luo family. Luo Changfeng is the only ancestor of the Luo family. At this time, he was staying silently in his courtyard, his body slightly weak and half lying on the old Taisha chair that had been there for who knows how many years. His cloudy eyes were struggling to open, the translucent attribute panel hung brightly in mid-air. Name, Luo Changfeng. Shouyuan, 9 days plus. Cultivation, early bone refining stage plus. Qi and blood, 1350. P.S. The safe and controllable amount of qi and blood is 135. Kung Fu, the best of ordinary things. Fierce tiger strength, comprehension, 30% plus. Looking at his own golden finger in front of him, Luo Changfeng's extremely cloudy eyes suddenly became a little clearer. In one day, the energy and blood consumed has been recovered. In other words, you can recover 30 points or more in one day. At this point in his thoughts, Luo Changfeng seemed to have thought of something and quickly shook his head again. No, this calculation seems somewhat inaccurate. Yesterday, the time when qi and blood were consumed to increase longevity was probably a period of time after noon yesterday, and now, it's just the early morning of the next day. Even when the sky is not completely bright yet, so, that is to say 30 points of energy and blood consumption can be fully recovered in less than half a day. If this is the case, then I can improve my cultivation first. It's really difficult to live with an old man's body that is so depleted of vitality and blood that he is about to be buried. As Luo Changfeng thought about it, he couldn't help complaining in his heart. Upgrading to a small realm requires 100 points of energy and blood. Will the host be upgraded? Yes. No. After Luo Changfeng made a decision and stretched out his sinful right hand that could deduct the blood of his clan members, the window page that popped up yesterday, today, it appeared in front of him again. Yes. Luo Changfeng stretched out his right hand and clicked the yes button again. Host's choice detected, 100 HP is deducted. The host's cultivation is improving. A cold voice sounded in Luo Changfeng's mind. Then, there was a burst of hot blood. Then it began to flow in Luo Changfeng's body. After the blood flowed through his body through a complete route, the energy and blood in his body, which had been exhausted to the extreme, gradually began to recover. His somewhat weak body gradually regained some strength. His body vaguely exuded bursts of decaying aura. At this moment, a little vitality gradually emitted. About 3 minutes later, this state will gradually dissipate. Is this the power of the middle stage of bone refining? Luo Changfeng stood up with excitement. Then, he pinched his hands, which were still extremely skinny and as rough as tree bark, although the current strength has not yet returned to its original peak state. But what makes Luo Changfeng more gratified is that, it turned out that the feeling of fatigue, weakness, and powerlessness had been bothering him all the time. At this moment, it seems that more than half of it has disappeared, although he still feels a little tired and weak from time to time, but at least that he relied on his own strength to walk and move a little, even make gestures with others in a short period of time. This shouldn't be a big problem anymore. Chapter 5. These are troubled times. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How about going out for a walk? Luo Changfeng thought of this, then he put his hands behind his back. Step by step, he walked towards the outside of the courtyard quite leisurely, because Luo Changfeng is the only remaining ancestor of the Luo family. Therefore, his courtyard is also at the most central location of the Luo family. Ancestor Changfeng. Ancestor Changfeng. Along the way, the Luo family members would greet Luo Changfeng respectfully. Luo Changfeng also showed a smile on his face. He expressed his friendliness and goodwill to his tribesmen. After all, I want to improve my cultivation in the future, my understanding of techniques and so on. You have to rely on these tribesmen to provide you with a sufficient amount of energy and blood. Ha! Isn't this ancestor Changfeng? That just as Luo Changfeng walked out of the Luo family's gate and walked towards the relatively prosperous street, Luo family land, at the front entrance, the current head of the Luo family, Luo Ping, who was dressed in Xing Yi and was taking a leisurely walk among the family, suddenly reached out his hand and rubbed his eyes. He was a little dumbfounded, the moment I saw ancestor Changfeng. Luo Ping even felt that there was something wrong with his eyes. Just yesterday, our ancestor Changfeng was still a little dying, as if he was about to die. Today, my face is red and full of energy, I can even stand up and walk around. Isn't this strange? Could it be that this is the so-called flashback? That my thoughts have come to this. Luo Ping's face suddenly became a little ugly. What was a good mood at first gradually became a little uncomfortable at this moment. We need to talk to Xuanhuan about this matter quickly. There are also the two paths Xuanhuan told me before. It seems I have to make a decision as soon as possible. Soon, Luo Ping disappeared at the main entrance of the Luo family land. And that left the Luo family. Luo Changfeng walked onto the bustling street. At this time, he was walking slowly forward with his hands behind his back. Candied haws on a stick, selling candied haws on a stick. Baozi, a big, fragrant and sweet bun. Animal masks. Does anyone want a fun animal mask? That while walking, the vendors on both sides of the street shouted at the top of their voices, smiled and kept shouting. At first, Luo Changfeng was in a pretty good mood. The lively streets, the hurried pedestrians, and the strong smell of fireworks, everything in front of him felt very novel. Although he had often seen scenes like this in his previous life, they were only seen on TV, mobile phones, or computers, but now, he was suddenly involved. I experienced and witnessed this with my own eyes. Don't tell me, it's really a little different. It's just a pity. Luo Changfeng's good mood did not last long. As time went by, the distance he walked became farther and farther. The situation on the street seemed to have taken a 360-degree turn. The original bustling scene has completely disappeared. The cries of vendors on both sides of the street disappeared. Although there were still pedestrians passing by in a hurry, Luo Changfeng could not see any smiles on their faces. All that can be seen seems to be deep worry and numbness. Even the houses on both sides of the street, they all seem to be a bit worn out and a bit in disrepair. No, don't catch me. Dad, help, Dad. Suddenly, a little girl's childish screams rang out from not far ahead. Here are 3 taels of silver, your daughter's life money. Put it away. Don't come to us if you lose it later. A man with a strong body like a tiger and a wolf, and a fierce look on his face, he was holding 3 taels of broken silver and handed it to a man wearing shabby cloth, with a sallow complexion and a numb face. Thanks. With these 3 taels of silver, I can get my money back. I can get my money back. I will definitely get my money back. Inger, wait for me. When I get my money back, I will definitely redeem you. I will give you delicious food and spicy food, and I will also give you a big house to live in. The man couldn't bear to look at his daughter who kept asking for help. He gritted his teeth tightly, his eyes were red, and he resisted turning his head. He walked straight into a gambling shop not far away. Hey, little girl, let's go. Sir, let me take you somewhere. I'll give you everything you need to eat well, drink spicy food, and live happily. The muscular man laughed wildly as he spoke. After the man laughed, the younger brothers behind him also laughed, and the girl who was tightly tied with the rope couldn't help but shed a tear of despair from the corner of her eyes. It's a great place to eat delicious food, drink spicy food, and have a relaxing time. Even if those men didn't say it, the girl knew it very well. What is that place for? As time flows, in the blink of an eye, those people and the girl, then he disappeared from Luo Changfeng's sight. Is this the troubled times? Luo Changfeng looked at the chaotic and dirty streets around him, and at the hurried and numb-looking people. Then, he looked at the people lying at the door of his home, with their hands open and motionless. It's like people waiting for death to come. He couldn't help but sigh slightly, shook his head and said, forget it, I'm not going. let's go back. Seeing these scenes, Luo Changfeng no longer had the interest in walking leisurely. Now, he just wants to go home as soon as possible. Then, try to improve your cultivation as quickly as possible. Today, the deterrent power of the Gale dynasty is still there. This world can be so chaotic. If that happens, the Gale dynasty will no longer be able to suppress the riots in various parts of the country, and it will really reach the stage where all the heroes will join forces to compete with the Gale dynasty. The world is expected to become even more chaotic. Therefore, if Luo Changfeng wants to survive in this troubled world, in other words, he wants to preserve the Luo family, the source of his power, a power that is so powerful that outsiders are afraid of it, is essential. Just when Luo Changfeng turned around and was about to walk in the direction of the Luo family, there were about a dozen desperados dressed in civilian clothes and holding rusty swords. Suddenly, Luo Changfeng appeared next to him. He also surrounded Luo Changfeng. Old man, he looks quite rich. In such troubled times, I can still eat with a glowing face and full of energy. I guess your family has a lot of wealth, right? What should I say? Do you want us to ask you to go there next, or do you just follow us obediently? Then among the dozen or so desperados, one was wearing black clothes and a black scarf. Although his figure is a bit thin, he is holding a brand new steel knife. The figure who looked like a leader was looking at Luo Changfeng in front of him with a smile on his face. That look was as if he was sizing up his prey. This made Luo Changfeng, the only ancestor of the Luo family, feel a little uncomfortable. Chapter 6 Black Wind Village, 9 Masters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In front of him were a dozen desperados armed with rusty blades. Most of them are just ordinary people with a little courage and a little strength. Even, based on the nervousness in the eyes of these dozen or so desperados, Luo Changfeng could easily tell that these people should have just joined. Only the man was dressed in black and wore a black scarf, holding a brand new steel knife. His face was full of anger. Although the figure looks a little thin, the leader exudes the smell of blood. He is an existence that has entered the world of spiritual practice. However, its strength seems to be limited to the early stage of skin refining. There are not to mention a dozen or so existences like this, even 50, 60, or even hundreds. Luo Changfeng was able to kill him and leave safely. You old man, what are you thinking about? Didn't you hear what I said? Qingshi town is located on a seemingly chaotic and barren street far away from the Luo family. The leader among a dozen desperados, seeing Luo Changfeng just standing silent and not answering his own questions, suddenly, he became a little angry. If this were in peaceful times, that would be all, but now, it's a troubled time. In troubled times, human life is even cheaper than grass. If he hadn't looked at the old man in front of him, his family should have a lot of money. He had already taken action and killed the old man with one knife. Brothers, do it. If you don't show this old guy some color, he really won't take us seriously. The leader of the desperados dressed in black waved the brand new steel knife in his hand, commanding the desperados around him. The dozen or so desperados looked at each other. Then, holding a rusty sharp blade, he rushed towards Luo Changfeng in front of him. Oh, do these people really think of me as an ordinary old man? Luo Changfeng looked at the desperados in front of him. His expression gradually became more and more cold. However, for these desperados rushing towards him, Luo Changfeng had no intention of taking action himself. When leaving the Luo family land, he vaguely felt that there seemed to be many skin-refining realm beings following him. With the appearance of these desperados, the presence of those skin-refining realm monks became more and more obvious. After these desperados rushed towards him, those monks in the skin-refining realm even gradually appeared in every corner of the surroundings, infinitely close to their position. With Luo Changfeng as the center, an airtight protective circle was formed. Those little guys in the Luo family are interested. Luo Changfeng took one last look at the desperados. He turned around silently. The sound of weapons colliding with each other gradually sounded. As the smell of blood gradually filled the air, it gradually spread. This battle also ended. Ancestor Changfeng, those bandits without any strength have all died. The bandit in the early stage of skin refining has been captured alive. How should we deal with this person? A young servant leader wearing gray clothes, whose strength was probably at the level of perfect skin refining. At this time, Zheng was slightly lowering his head and cupping his hands. He asked Luo Changfeng with a rather respectful expression. Do you know where that group of people came from? Luo Changfeng put his hands behind his back and looked ahead silently. This group of bandits seems to have come from the Black Wind Village in a hill outside Qingshi town. Black Wind Village. Luo Changfeng narrowed his eyes slightly. After that, some information about the Black Wind Village emerged in his mind. Black Wind Village was established about half a year ago. The base camp seems to be in an uninhabited hill outside Qingshi town. The big boss in Black Wind Village is in the late stage of skin refining. There are about 500 people in Heifeng Village. In terms of overall strength, he ranks 10th among the top 10 mountain bandits and horse thieves outside Qingshi town. Just kill him. As for the Black Wind Village, Luo Changfeng thought for a while, and after a moment of silence, he whispered to the servant commander beside him, "Let's go search and see if we can find the base camp of the Black Wind Village. If we can find it, we'll kill it. If you can't find it, let's put it aside for now. When we have time and free time, we can deal with this village later." Yes. The young commander of the servant nodded heavily. After that, he turned around and walked towards the bandit who was in the early stage of skin refining with a somewhat cold expression. You can't kill me. Do you know who I am? I am the 9th master of the Black Wind Stronghold. If you kill me, my eldest brother. The bandit 9th master saw the servant in front of him gradually approaching him, so, he struggled wildly. He even shouted out his identity directly. It seems that he wants to exchange for his own life. It's just a pity, not to mention that this bandit is just a member of the 9 masters in Black Wind Village. Even if this guy is the boss of Black Wind Village, in Qingshi town, one still has to die in front of the Luo family, one of the 4 major families. Bang! The dull sound of the round head falling to the ground suddenly sounded. The big scar on the neck of Bandit 9, the bright red blood kept splattering out. Do you know who the old man you wanted to attack just now was? The young commander of the servant slowly put away the brand new steel knife in his hand, looking at the head that was still rolling on the ground with a somewhat calm expression. He whispered, "That is the ancestor of the Luo family, one of the 4 major families in Qingshi town. Don't say that you are just a mere 9th master in Black Wind Village. Even if you are the leader of Black Wind Village, in front of that old man, you still can't escape death." After settling the matter, the servants began to clean the scene quickly, until the servants took away all the bodies and threw them aside on the street. The Luo family's servants gradually disappeared from Luo Changfeng's sight, hidden in every corner around. It's time to go back. Luo Changfeng glanced at the hiding place of the servant commander who had just spoken to him. Soon, he withdrew his gaze, silently walked towards the direction of the Luo family. My lord. Lend me some money, please lend me some money. As long as you are willing to lend me money, once I get my money back, I will definitely pay you back double, triple, or even 5 times. On the side of the street, Luo Changfeng had just walked a few steps. A middle-aged man wearing shabby cloth, with a sallow face and skinny muscles, was driven out by thugs from a gambling shop. He quickly crawled toward him, and tightly grasped Luo Changfeng's trousers with his somewhat dark hands. Is this guy the one who just sold his daughter? Luo Changfeng glanced at the middle-aged man at his feet with red eyes and a look of embarrassment on his face. He looked again and saw that it seemed to be a very lively gambling shop among poor people. Luo Changfeng sighed helplessly and said in a low voice, "This gambling house is really harmful to people." Chapter 7 Coming Back to the Light. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After kicking the middle-aged man at his feet away hard, Luo Changfeng quickly walked towards the direction of the Luo family. Follow him back to the Luo family. When entering the main entrance, Luo Ping, the current head of the Luo family, was standing silently at the front door, looking around nervously. Ancestor Changfeng. When I saw Luo Changfeng's figure appeared, I saw that Luo Changfeng was still safe and sound. He lowered his head slightly and said hello. Then, he slowly exhaled a breath. The big stone hanging in my heart suddenly fell down at this moment. It's okay if everything is okay. It's okay if Changfeng ancestor is okay. Well. Luo Changfeng glanced at Luo Ping, who seemed a little strange next to him. He nodded. After that, he ignored the guy again. He just walked silently towards his own courtyard. Although the realm of the middle stage of bone refining is enough for him to regain some energy and blood, as well as his previous strength, but this level is still a bit too low after all. In this Qingshi town, if he wanted to be safe. He would even protect the Luo family where he was. At least he must restore his cultivation to its original peak, even reaching the peak. Elevate your cultivation to the realm of organ refining above bone refining. Only in this way can Luo Changfeng sit firmly on the high platform and watch the many changes in Qingshi town. After a while, Luo Changfeng returned to his courtyard. As soon as he returned to his yard, so he directly found an open space and sat cross-legged. He worked hard to adjust his breathing rhythm and the speed of blood flow in his body, and that is Luo Ping, who is located at the main entrance of the Luo family. After meeting the Changfeng ancestor, it seemed that nothing happened. He trotted towards his yard in a hurry. My son. As soon as he returned to his small courtyard, Luo Ping, the current head of the Luo family, couldn't help shouting loudly. Father, you are so. In the courtyard, there was a frail young man dressed in white, sitting quietly under a stone pavilion. After hearing these urgent calls, he couldn't help but curl his lips. He raised his head, looked in the direction of his father, and said with a somewhat helpless expression, "You really have lost the bearing of the head of our Luo family. If outsiders see it, I don't know what they will say about you. Hee, isn't it true that I only behave like this when I enter this courtyard?" Luo Ping smiled awkwardly, and then continued, "Besides, even if outsiders see it, who dares to say anything? Forget it, let's not talk about this. Father, why don't you tell me why you came back in such a hurry?" The ancestors have returned, but while wandering around Qingshi town, they encountered a group of bandits. Bandit? Upon hearing his father Luo Ping's words, Luo Chuan's right hand holding the ceramic teacup couldn't help but tremble slightly. A cold light flashed through his eyes that were supposed to be calm. Ancestor Changfeng, although his strength is no longer at its peak, his energy and blood have also been exhausted to the limit. His longevity is almost exhausted, and it would be an understatement to say that half of his body has been buried in the ground. Even beating a few healthy ordinary people is a bit difficult, not to mention dealing with those bandits armed with sharp blades. But even so, Changfeng ancestor is still extremely important to the Luo family, one of the 4 major families in Qingshi town. Father, do you know which group of bandits they are? After a long silence, Luo Chuan drank the cup of tea in his hand. He asked his father in a slightly cold voice. The servant said that the group of bandits seemed to come from a village called Heifeng Village in a hill outside Qingshi town. Black Wind Village. Luo Chuan heard this and nodded silently. After thinking again for a moment, he asked the father next to him in a low voice, "Father, how is our ancestors' condition?" "Ruddy complexion and full of energy. It's like a reflection of light. I just don't know how long our ancestors can maintain this state." The Luo family knew all the news about Luo Changfeng's outing. They are both one of the 4 major families in Qingshi town. It can be regarded as the Zhao family's feud with the Luo family. At this time, I had already learned such good news. "Xianer, are you sure about this news?" In the Zhao family's land, there is a room with a slightly cold temperature. As the son of the current head of the Zhao family, Zhao Qian is the young master of the Zhao family. He was standing quite excitedly, with a smile on his face. "Dad, this is absolutely true. I saw it with my own eyes. The old guy from the Luo family suddenly left the Luo family today and walked around Qingshi town. And when that old guy was out, he accidentally ran into a group of bandits. However, it is a pity that the old guy is surrounded by many Luo family servants. Now that old guy from the Luo family should have returned to the land of the Luo family." Bandits? Upon hearing this, Zhao Wu, the current head of the Zhao family, couldn't help but sigh slightly. This is indeed a pity, judging from the current conflicts between the 3 brothers of the Luo family. If the old guy in the Luo family died suddenly, the collapse of the Luo family happened in an instant. However, since Zhao Wu knows the importance of the old man in the Luo family's land, the people on the Luo family's side should naturally know it too. When the old man went out for a walk, he was guarded by elite servants. This can be considered a reasonable thing. As for what his son Zhao Qian just said he saw with his own eyes, Zhao Wu didn't quite believe it. This news was probably passed on by the servant sent by the Zhao family to keep an eye on the Luo family. However, the message was intercepted midway by his own son. "Since you said it, you saw it with your own eyes. Have you seen that old guy today? How does he look?" This This Zhao Qian suddenly panicked when he heard his father ask this question. The servants of the Zhao family told him what happened. He also knew some details, but there is a question about the old man in the Luo family, his complexion, and his mental state. He really didn't understand it. This is not something you witnessed with your own eyes, right? In the room, Zhao Wu, who was sitting quietly on the throne, hesitated a little when he saw his son. From time to time, he glanced at a servant of the Zhao family behind him. Zhao Wu understood everything instantly. Why don't you tell me, how does that old guy from the Luo family look like today? What's your mental state like? Zhao Wu shifted his gaze and looked at a servant behind Zhao Qian. Chapter 8 Zhao Wu, the Zhao family will rise again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the room, the servant saw the head of the family, Zhao Wu, turning his attention to himself. He could only stand up helplessly. An answer was given. Master, the ancestor of the Luo family looks very good and is in an unusually good state of mind. Looking great. Are you in an unusually good mental state? That when Zhao Wu heard this, he couldn't help but fell into deep thought. Judging from Wang Kuan's judgment, the old man from the Luo family should die in no more than half a month. The current state should be that half of the body is buried in the lus. Under such circumstances, let alone go out for a walk, even moving your body a little should be difficult. But now, the old guy's current situation is so unreasonable. Come to think of it, that old guy didn't take some magic elixir to prolong his life. That is the phenomenon of returning to the light. Compared with these two situations, Zhao Wu is still more willing to believe in the latter. It seems that the old guy's end is approaching. The conflicts in the Luo family will also completely break out because of the old guy's death. If that time comes, the Luo family's disintegration will not be far away. Our Qinshi town Zhao family will rise again at that time. With his thoughts at this point, Zhao Wu waved his hand. All the servants of the Zhao family were driven away from the room. Do you know the location and various information of the bluestone veins of various qualities in the Luo family's hands? It's clear. Of course I know this kind of thing. Zhao Qian nodded slightly and replied with a slight guilt, and Zhao Wu seemed to be aware of the guilty conscience of his unsatisfied son. She turned her head slightly and glanced at him. Then, he said slowly, the area near Bluestone Town is rich in cheap, strong and durable bluestone. About 300 years ago, there were only 3 major families in Qinshi town. The 3 major families are the Hu family, the Jing family, and the Zhao family where we are. The Hu family is in charge of all the markets in Qinshi town, controls most of the transactions in Qinshi town, and has the strongest business ability. The Jing family is in charge of all the gambling houses in Qinshi town, and they have a large number of thugs under their command. They are the most powerful. And our Zhao family controls all the bluestone veins near Qinshi town. Our Zhao family is responsible for the mining and sales of bluestone near Qinshi town. The strength of our Zhao family is not much worse than those 2 families. However, since the outsider Luo family established a foothold in Qinshi town, the situation has undergone many changes. I don't know what method the ancestor of the Luo family used more than 300 years ago. In a very short period of time, a large number of bluestone veins were discovered that had never been discovered and never mined. As the number of bluestone veins in the hands of the Luo family gradually approaches, it is on par with our Zhao family, or even surpassed. The situation changed drastically in an instant. The mining and sale of bluestone. We are no longer the one-spoken family of our Zhao family. Even the price of bluestone is no longer the time for our Zhao family to set the price as much as we want. That outsider, the original ancestor of the Luo family. Not only did he forcefully bite off a large piece of meat from our Zhao family. Even because of this, I have completely established a foothold in this Qinshi town. It's not that our ancestors of the Zhao family never thought about resisting, but the original ancestor of the Luo family was a bit too strong. This matter will just end like this. As he spoke, Zhao Wu stood up silently and walked towards his son Zhao Qian step by step. Dad, why have you never mentioned this to me? That when Zhao Qian saw his father approaching, he subconsciously took a step back. What's the point of telling you what happened more than 300 years ago? Then Dad, why are you mentioning this to me again? Zhao Qian swallowed and took a step back again. He maintained a certain distance from his father, who had always been extremely majestic. Only then did he have the courage to raise his head and secretly glance at the face of his father, the head of the family. Sure enough, as expected, at this time, his father's face seemed a little unhappy. Stupid. Zhao Wu looked at his timid and stupid son Zhao Qian in front of him. In his heart, he was filled with anger. I don't care whether I know or don't know the information about the blue stone veins in the hands of the Luo family. But I want you to write it all down during this period of time. When the time comes, the old guy from the Luo family dies and the Luo family can't get together because of various conflicts. This is the best time for our Zhao family to destroy the Luo family. As for the blue stone veins in the hands of the Luo family, I want you to lead people and capture them all in the shortest possible time. After saying that, Zhao Wu quickly walked to the door of the room and slowly closed his eyes, trying hard to calm down his somewhat ups and downs mentality. Dad, even if the Luo family can't work together, the overall strength of the Luo family is not weak. Can our Zhao family really destroy the Luo family in one fell swoop? In the room, Zhao Qian swallowed his saliva and asked such a question with a slightly trembling voice. You don't need to worry about this. You just need to handle the things I give you. After finishing these words, Zhao Wu quickly walked out of the room. As the current head of the Zhao family, he is extremely wise and wise. How could he have such a stupid son? He was even a little scared if he continued to stay here. He would really be pissed off by his own son and cause trouble. As for the issue of whether the Luo family's comprehensive strength is not weak, it's not that Zhao Wu doesn't know, he even knows much more about the Luo family than his own son. However, the Luo family, who are united as one, is difficult to deal with. Isn't it difficult to deal with the Luo family when conflicts break out and they can't work together? Not to mention anything else, he now controls most of the elite servants of the Luo family. As the Luo family's most powerful person, the third child of the Luo family, the one with developed limbs has a simple mind. Isn't it difficult to deal with a fool who always wants to go out and have a new adventure? If you want to deal with the Luo family, the third son of the Luo family is definitely a huge breakthrough. In the room, Zhao Qian, the young master of the Zhao family, saw his father, the head of the family, disappear from his sight. Only then did he slowly exhale. His expression seemed to be much more relaxed. I have to say, beside his father, the head of the family, Zhao Qian could always feel the boundless pressure coming towards him like a tide. It even made it difficult for him to breathe. Let's live in peace, isn't it good? It has been more than 300 years since the four major families have coexisted. Is the Luo family really that easy to deal with? Although Zhao Qian didn't say anything, he was still worried in his heart. In addition, there is another problem, all kinds of information about the blue stone veins in the hands of the Luo family. It is not an easy task to write them all down. Chapter 9 Black-Furred Tigers, Sir. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the blink of an eye, another day passed. The area near Qingshi town is rich in cheap and strong bluestone. There are so many mountains nearby, and as the number of this mountain increases, the number of bandits who dominate the mountain becomes king. Naturally, it will gradually increase with the passage of time. The so-called Black Wind Village took advantage of the severe drought in the Daofeng dynasty in recent years and the crazy exploitation by officials. Thus a small cottage quickly emerged. However, although this Black Wind Village is only a small cottage now, the total number of people in the village has just exceeded 500. But Heifeng Village attaches great importance to the sources of various information, especially the news in Qingshi town, which is closest to Heifeng Village. Heifeng Village is the most concerned. In the early morning, the sky was gray and bright, and a thick layer of fog in the mountains had not completely dissipated. Near Qingshi town, there is a hilltop occupied by Black Wind Village. In a cottage that is not particularly large in area, a young man wearing civilian clothes and carrying a rusty steel knife with many chips, he was running hurriedly towards a meeting hall in the village. The boss, something is wrong, something happened, something big happened. The little guy carrying a rusty steel knife was running and shouting. What does it look like in a hurry? In the meeting hall of Heifeng Village, there is a huge and extremely domineering armchair made of bluestone. As the founder of Heifeng Village, he is also the current head of Heifeng Village, the black-haired tiger Xiongqi. He was leaning on the huge and extremely domineering armchair in boredom. he held a jug of wine in his left hand and a fat and oily pig's trotter in his right hand, while drinking, while looking at the somewhat panicked little guy in front of him. The big boss, just yesterday, the 9th boss of our Black Wind Village. 9 masters. What's wrong with Lao Jiu? The black-haired tiger male sitting on the armchair looked at the little minion in front of him, and his words were somewhat broken. His face suddenly showed a little dissatisfaction. Just yesterday, Master 9th was killed in Qingshi town. The little guy swallowed his saliva and said nervously. What did you say? The black-haired tiger Xiongqi suddenly widened his eyes as big as copper bells. 2 long lines of white mist were also sprayed out from the nostrils. The expression on his face also changed from the initial boredom to the current anger in an instant. Since the establishment of Heifeng Village half a year ago, Heifeng Village has been going smoothly. No one has ever dared to easily provoke the Black Wind Village built by Xiongqi, because, for those who dare to provoke Heifeng Village, the grass on the graves is now 3 meters high. But what Xiongqi didn't expect was that, just when he was planning to show off his ambitions and make Heifeng Village stronger, just a few days after he recruited him, the 9th master of Black Wind Village, who was in the early stage of skin refining, died like this. Don't look at the Master Jiu of Black Wind Village, he is just a warrior in the early stage of skin refining, but in these troubled times, even those men with strong bodies and strong strength are hard to recruit, in this case, let alone one who has entered the world of cultivation and possesses a certain level of strength. His grandma, anyone who dares to touch our Black Wind Village will die, right? In the meeting hall, the black-haired tiger Xiongqi was cursing and directly raised the 10-forged steel knife beside him that had seen countless blood and cut off countless heads. Step by step, I walked to the little guy. With a somewhat fierce expression, he asked the young man in a low voice, who did it? Luo family. The little minion answered in a trembling low voice, facing the strong sense of oppression that was constantly spreading from the head of his family. The Luo family, right? Xiongqi nodded silently, raised the 10-forged steel sword in his hand, and wanted to walk out. It seems that he also wants to gather all the people in Heifeng Village. By bloodbathing the Luo family, they could wash away the shame of the murder of the 9th leader of the Black Wind Village. That's right. Just as Xiongqi was halfway there, he seemed to remember something and stepped back. The Luo family you just mentioned, which Luo family is it? Qingshi town, Luo family. The minion replied with his head slightly lowered. I know it is the Luo family in Qingshi town, but there is not just one family named Luo in Qingshi town, so which Luo family are you talking about? Qingshi town, Luo family, one of the 4 major families. After this conversation ended, the entire hall suddenly fell into a deathly silence. The Luo family, one of the 4 strongest families in Qingshi town. Xiongqi looked at the little guy in front of him and asked again in disbelief. Yes, it is. The little guy nodded repeatedly, and after the identity of the murderer who killed the 9th master of Heifeng Village was completely confirmed, as the current leader of Heifeng Village, the black-haired tiger Xiongqi, at this moment, he actually calmed down a bit. I saw him silently returning to the main seat in this meeting hall and sitting down quietly. His brows were furrowed, and he was constantly thinking about one thing in his mind. Master, shall we avenge this? In the meeting hall, the young man saw that the master of his family suddenly fell silent. He mustered up the courage and asked cautiously. Revenge? What revenge? After Xiongqi's thoughts were interrupted, he stared at the little guy in front of him and asked. It's the hatred of the 9th master. 9 heads. What 9 heads? We in Heifeng Village have never had the so-called 9 heads. Remember this. Ah. The little guy seemed very surprised. Please step back, I'm a little tired. Xiongqi waved his hand and rubbed his head as he had a headache, and as the bandit gangster exited the meeting hall, a scholar who has been hiding in a corner of the hall and looks quite handsome, at this time, he could not help but walk out quietly. Sir, something serious has happened. I originally thought that I would wait until Black Wind Village has grown to a certain level before attacking Qingshi town. But who would have thought? That bastard Lao Jiu secretly went to Qingshi town ahead of time behind my back. That bitch, just go to Qingshi town in advance. But it's not good for him to provoke anyone. but he provoked the Luo family, one of the 4 strongest families in Qinshe town. The Luo family today is not someone our little Black Wind village can provoke. Sir, what do you think I should do next? Xiongqi frowned and asked the scholar in front of him in a low voice with a somewhat helpless expression. If he guessed correctly, the Luo family now, it is very likely that attention has been focused on the Black Wind stronghold where he is located. Fortunately, the base camp of Heifeng Village is in a relatively hidden place. Heifeng Village should not be found so easily by the Luo family, but just in case, by accident. His Black Wind Village was found by the Luo family, so wouldn't he and his Black Wind Village be finished? Regardless of the recent days, Heifeng Village is extremely prestigious in front of countless refugees, but if you really compare Heifeng Village with those families that have existed for 200 to 300 years, the Black Wind Village, which had only been established for less than half a year, was naturally far inferior to those aristocratic families with profound historical backgrounds. Chapter 10 The Development Plan of Heifeng Village, its strength has improved again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is no need for the boss to be anxious. In the meeting hall of Black Wind Village, there was a scholar wearing a Confucian robe and holding a white feather fan. While walking towards the black-haired tiger, he whispered with a smile on his face, although the Luo family, one of the 4 major families in Qinshe town, is strong, it can no longer protect itself. As long as I, Heifeng Village, stay safe during this period, the Luo family can't protect itself. Xiongqi couldn't help but frown slightly when he heard this. He didn't quite understand what the gentleman in front of him said, and the handsome man in Confucian robes, holding a white feather fan, who looked like a scholar, seemed to have noticed the doubts in Xiongqi's heart, so, he explained aloud, does the head of the family know the Changfeng ancestor from the Luo family? The Changfeng ancestor of the Luo family? Xiongqi thought for a moment, nodded and said, of course I know the Changfeng ancestor of the Luo family. But, what does this have to do with the destruction of the Luo family? Master, don't be impatient, just listen to me. In the meeting hall, as the scholar wearing a Confucian robe and holding a white feather fan explained more and more deeply, the black-haired tigers gathered together, and then they gradually understood. Why would my husband suddenly say that the Luo family, one of the 4 major families in Qinshe town, is no longer able to protect itself? Sir, if this is true as you said, the old ancestor of the Luo family is approaching his end and will die soon. The collapse of the Luo family will happen in an instant. Then, can I, the Black Wind Village, follow the Zhao family in Qinshe town and get a share of the pie? Speaking of this, Xiongqi's face gradually showed a bit of greed. Even though most of the Luo family's assets were taken by the Zhao family, as long as they, Heifeng Village, can eat some leftovers that the Zhao family has no time to eat, this is already an opportunity for Heifeng Village to grow. It's best for us in Heifeng Village not to touch the Luo family side. Why? The black-haired tiger Xiongqi suddenly became anxious. He knew that the huge Luo family, which had existed for more than 300 years, was going to die, but he couldn't get in and bite off a piece of flesh from the Luo family. This made Xiongqi feel very uncomfortable. Master, Heifeng Village is currently weak. Among the many villages near Qinshe town, it is only ranked 10th. Now, the most important thing for us in Heifeng Village is not to keep an eye on the Luo family that is about to fall. The most important goal of our Black Wind Village is to gather as many nearby refugees as possible and swallow up the small group of bandits nearby. Only in this way can we, Black Wind Village, be able to capture the slightest opportunity to rise in this troubled world. Otherwise, even if our Heifeng Village really bites off a piece of meat from the Naluo family. Master, do you really think that our Heifeng Village can keep the wealth we plundered from the Luo family? These are the words of a scholar wearing a Confucian robe and holding a white feather fan. It's like a wake-up call. He immediately woke up Xiongqi completely. What you said makes sense. In that case, just follow what Sir said. Gather the nearby refugees and devour the small group of bandits nearby. Improve the strength of our Black Wind Village as much as possible. As time flows, the sky gradually became brighter and brighter. Qinshe town, above the streets, pedestrians, businessmen, and some foreign refugees, their number gradually became more and more. As for the Luo family, one of the 4 strongest families in Qingshi town. At this time, it was already running rapidly like a sophisticated machine. Call. Suck. Call. Suck. Luo family land, the most central location, in the courtyard where ancestor Changfeng lives. Luo Changfeng, the only ancestor of the Luo family, was constantly adjusting his stance and waving his arms. Even as he breathed and breathed, his movements gradually became faster and faster. Fast, fast, his movements are getting faster and faster, until he finished a whole set of fierce tiger strength. He slowly stopped his movements and adjusted his slightly changing breathing rate. A whole day of hard training without any improvement. This made Luo Changfeng feel a little disappointed. Now a whole day has passed. Let's see how much of the 100 points of energy and blood consumed yesterday have been recovered. Name, Luo Changfeng. Xuanhuan, 8 days plus. Cultivation, bone refining middle stage plus. Qi and blood, 1350, minus 50, PS, safe and usable qi and blood is 85 points. Kung Fu, the best of ordinary things. Fierce tiger strength, comprehension, 30% plus. Seeing this, Luo Changfeng couldn't help but think for a moment. In one day, can approximately 50 points of energy and blood be restored? But what does the plus sign behind this cultivation level mean? Is it possible that with 85 points of energy and blood, it can be improved to a small level? Or can I use more energy than the 85 points? Although, Luo Changfeng is still more willing to believe the latter, but he still couldn't hold back his curiosity. He stretched out his right hand and clicked on the plus sign behind the cultivation level. Upgrading to a small realm requires 200 points of energy and blood. Will the host be upgraded? Yes. No. 200 health points. Even if all the family's energy and blood are restored, it will still not reach 200 within a safe and controllable range. I wonder if I can add 85 points first. Wait until the total amount of energy and blood reaches 200, and then make a breakthrough. Luo Changfeng thought this in his heart. But this time, Goldfinger seemed to hear his inner words. Once again, such a translucent window popped up in front of Luo Changfeng. Excuse me, do you want to consume 85 points of energy and blood to slightly increase your cultivation level? Yes. No. 2 choices appeared clearly in Luo Changfeng's sight. Good guy, is it really okay? Luo Changfeng was a little surprised. However, after the surprise, he stretched out his skinny sinful right hand again and clicked the yes button. Coming. Luo Changfeng closed his eyes silently, feeling the mysterious power that suddenly appeared in the body. Under the reinforcement of mysterious power, his body was reborn again. His strength is growing rapidly, and his cultivation is also rapidly improving. However, this situation did not last long. After about half a minute, the mysterious power suddenly disappeared, as if it had never appeared. Strength seems to have improved a lot. Although his cultivation has not yet reached the advanced stage of bone refining. But my strength is indeed stronger than before. In the courtyard, Luo Changfeng clenched his fists. After feeling the increasingly powerful power in his body, he couldn't help but murmured in a low voice.